Acts 20, verse 4. I don't know about y'all. I have a hard enough time with English names. These, I have listened to the spelling, and I've watched the spelling. I've listened to the pronunciations online. I have tried my best to get close to this, and I know that it's not even pretty. But I'm going to attempt this because I think it's important to know people's names. So when Paul returned to Troas, he spent 7 days with some people, his close friends. Sopater of Bereus. Yeah, there's not even an S in there, but somehow it's pronounced with an S. Aristarchus, Secundus, both from Thessalonica. Gaius from Derbis. There's not an S there, but there's an S in the pronunciation. Now this name you should recognize, Timotheus. This is Timothy that Paul wrote letters to later on. Now in this storyline, you have to remember who he's with. That's why we're bringing this. It's like when you look at the genealogy. How many of us skipped over genealogy until Henry Wright told us how important genealogies were? We did it our entire lives. We get to Matthew chapter 1 and we go, nope, Matthew chapter 2. This story that we're about to walk through, that we're going to have this moment of storytelling, is important to know who was in the room. It's important for a future letter. You have Timothy. You have Tychicus and Trophimus from Asia Minor. All of these, now these were the trusted friends of Paul. Paul, when he came back from Greece, when he ended up in Asia Minor and Troas, he surrounded himself for 7 days with his closest friends. And then we get to where we start going in the story. Acts 20 verse 7 says, on the first day of the week, this is where he was traveling with, these are the people where they didn't start traveling till after the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They spent there, and it took them 5 days to get to Troas, and once they arrived, it was 7 days they spent together. They all went to this upper room. And Acts 20 verse 7 says, and upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread. This is a reference. They came together not just for fellowship, for a time of communion. To understand, to talk and teach, and just really celebrate what Christ did for us. Each time you do this in remembrance of me. Paul preached to them, ready to depart on the morrow. He was getting ready to leave the next morning. His speech lasted until midnight. Y'all comfortable? It says his speech. Now, this is the thing. They came together for communion. Now, this is also on the first day of the week. This would have been Sunday. They couldn't partake of communion until midnight. So here's the thing that you have to understand. The book of Matthew talks about Jesus breaking bread at the Last Supper. Say, do this. This is my bread. Take a part of me. Do you want a piece of me, kind of thing. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 discusses communion as well. Goes through all the steps of what communion represents. Paul spent some time teaching about communion. I remember the first communion service we had here, that I was here. We were still back. I don't think we had I think we had the gray chairs back then. I mean, that ought to tell you anything. And we had the big French loaves. I got a picture of Dad tossing one like a football to me in the soundboard. And Dad taught for 2 hours on communion. And then it took us 2+ hours to actually have communion. It was a 4-hour and some change service. No one complained. Paul spent time. Now, here's the thing you have to understand. Paul spent time to explain communion. So when you look at the blocks to healing that we teach at Be in Health, where you take communion unwisely, when you don't really judge yourself about forgiveness when you're getting ready to take the cup, or if you don't believe in creative miracles and healing, then don't take the bread. Paul taught in great detail the importance of communion.